The resort of Minami Sanriku lay in their path. It was a town of 18,000 people, famed for its oyster fishing and ocean views. This was the satellite shot before the tsunami hit. This is how it was transformed. 95% of its buildings gone. High on a hillside, where it was judged no tsunami could ever reach, is a pensioner's home. Among its debris, we found this video of some of the 68 residents who used to live here. Helping one of them is Kengo Sasaki, one of the staff. His wife, Naoko, used to work here too, next door in the day center. After the quake, Kengo went outside to inspect the horizon.
From here, I could see an incredible dust rising up from over there, and the trees and houses would just be mown down. And I was sure, at the rate, that it was going to reach us.
He and his wife rushed back in to begin the evacuation. But with 68 immobile pensioners and just minutes to spare, where do you start?
I came in here and stood shouting, "Evacuate," just yelling it out. I then took hold of the person, the gentleman in the wheelchair right in front of me, and went straight outside, right away through this park area, with the wheelchair rattling away, heading for the high school at the top. I just kept going in a straight line.
He doesn't look back. The tsunami has already consumed half the town, hundreds are dead, and it's still advancing.
I couldn't get any farther up than this. So I called a fellow member of staff over, and we carried him up towards the higher ground at the high school. Right away up there.
You can see Kengo in the bottom left of screen, the waves surging behind him. He returns again to rescue more, before escaping himself up the hill. Others weren't so lucky. The man in black raced down to rescue another wheelchair user. There's a sudden surge of water, and he's swept away. After saving several pensioners, Mr. Sasaki begins searching for his own wife.
I didn't know where she was, and I'd searched for her in the rubble. But she must have been forced back to where she worked by the tsunami. She was found trapped between the machines at the bathhouse where she worked. When they found her, I went to where our eldest, a 12-year-old son, had been evacuated, and told him how his mother had.
I'm sorry.
I was open with him, telling him that she'd died while trying to get people up. With my daughter, though, I have to say, I couldn't quite bring myself to tell her.
When, finally, the wave receded, 48 residents were left dead. 19 survived, but even now, 6 months on, one is still missing. The town of Minami Sanriku, once a bustling port, had been transformed into this, a wasteland. This was the emergency center, which broadcast warnings across town that a tsunami was on its way. All that's left of the building now is its iron shell, but the woman's ghostly voice is still remembered by the hundreds she helped save. The woman behind the microphone continued imploring the local population to evacuate their homes as the seawater surged through the ground floor and then began to climb through the other floors. She would have known, of course, that her chances of survival were diminishing all the time, but this was an act of self-sacrifice. Her name was Miki Endo. She was 24 years old and recently married. Miki Endo has become a symbol of the Japanese spirit in all of this, putting her community before herself. Her colleagues who survived had to shin up the aerial on the roof of the 4-story building. They were still clinging on as the wave receded. In the town's hospital, only the 5th story remained above water, but there just wasn't enough time for patients on the lower floors to clamber up there. Out of 107 of them, 71 died.